All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 343. Today is the 9th of June, 2021. We got some announcements about some cool stuff going on and a couple other odds and ends. But first, we're going to say hello to guys, and then we'll jump in and get all of your questions answered as well. So, Marco, you got the changing background, man. This is the most change in the last 2 weeks I think I've seen in like years. What's going on?
Yeah, I was just talking to someone about that. I buy furniture that's made from recycled pallets. So the guy is really good and he's local, and I love supporting local businesses. So like the house, everywhere you go, there's something made by this guy from what would be garbage or cluttered somewhere. So he builds these great things, and I got one, and of course my daughter's plant is there, and it's just cool. It's just different, and eventually it'll all go out because I'm a minimalist. I don't want anything in here. I don't want any clutter, none whatsoever. My mind is already cluttered enough with everything I have to do as it is. So to add to the clutter, I need to be able to do like this and look out my window, see light, and see nothing in the way. But I got all this stuff that people want in here with me, and I don't like it, but it is what it is. The guy's good. Furniture is really good, solid, and it would be garbage otherwise.
Fair enough, man. Well, other than that, how you doing? Let the people know.
Dude, so busy. I'm trying to get like 3 different pieces of software out, and I had to put one aside and put one to the forefront. The schema tech, Rob's schema training is being translated into code, and it's actually going to be software as a service where you can go on the website and build your schema, drag and drop, but build it our way, not the garbage that you get other places, with proper referencing, with proper stacking. So, and we're trying to make it drag and drop. So you build the templates and then you just drag and drop, and the templates get referenced. Any of you who have ever coded, you know what this is to actually build these templates, make them drag and drop boxes, and you fit them anywhere you want. But to get the code to do it and then spit out the schema properly, well, that's the challenge. I was planning to have it, or we were planning to have it by Monday. Monday turned into Tuesday, Tuesday turned into Wednesday, and here we are, and it's still not ready. But I do plan to have it ready by the end of the week. It's that, and then something for generating content that I've been working on for a long time. Should be in its final stages. So the ability to produce tier 1 content, like unlimited, and using AI and the way that we tune for entities. So without giving away the training, what we'll be able to do is to provide a tuned piece of content with the schema, with the extra schema, with the FAQs, with the FAQ schema. And so imagine the beast that we're building to just give Google what it wants. You want content, you're going to get some content. And you want schema, you're going to get some schema, man. And then behind that, I have a couple other things that are coming down the pipeline. I'll keep everyone posted, but it's been, I don't know, incredibly busy and fun.
Nice. And I just popped the link on there for anyone who, for whatever reason, well, first of all, if you're not getting our emails, check on the Hump Day Hangouts page, get signed up below. But you would have gotten an email about that for the schema architecture course. You can check that out. And then also there's a link to the Facebook group there. You can see what people are saying. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, just go ahead and join and we'll get you in there and you can check that out. So good stuff. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. Super excited today here. Got a storm brewing outside, so might cut off, but otherwise things are pretty good. Similar as Marco, I like it minimal. I kind of feel him there. And yeah, things are good.
Cool. Bradley, how about you?
Busy, really busy. Got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to be starting another group for a build with Bradley group is what I'm calling it, for a magic page Magic Page plugin, which is like, kind of a mass page builder. It's Mike Martin's. It's really cool. There's a ton of really good features in it. And I haven't done any mass page stuff in years, like literally for years. But I like the way that his plugin does much more localized type building instead of doing, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of pages, which is what I used to do years ago. You can do a much smaller scale, which I think will perfectly complement both my directory site that I'm building, as well as some of the lead gen stuff that I'm doing. And also for clients, it can absolutely be applied to client stuff. And so I've been going through training for that for the last day and a half, and I've got a lot more to go through, but I'm going to be starting a build with Bradley group where I go through the process of just building a Magic Page site, and probably multiple sites over the course of several months. Every 2 weeks, we'll hold a webinar with anybody that joins the group. So, of course, mastermind members, heavy hitter club members, those types of people will automatically be grandfathered in if they want to go see it or join with me. Anybody else that is not in one of our premium groups, if you want to join, then you want to go through that with me. And again, this will be like in real time. We're going to go through this. Then you have to check out or purchase the Magic Page plugin. Mike Martin has an offer right now that, Adam, if you want to drop the link on the page if you haven't already. It's a webinar that he goes through what his process is. And if you end up purchasing through our link, just send a support ticket in to support@semanticmastery.com and let us know, and we'll add you to the group. And like I said, what we're going to do is go through a build process and every 2 weeks. And I haven't determined how long the initial group is going to be, but there will be a bonus included for anybody that purchases the plugin through us. Besides the Build with Bradley group, there is going to be another bonus that will give you temporary access to the Semantic Mastery Mastermind as well. So, and again, with that, we'll talk about that once I kickstart that group about how long that access will be for the mastermind as well. So I would encourage people to check it out. This is a new process for me. Again, I haven't done anything like this in many years, but I think it's a perfect complement for what I'm doing with my directory site and my agency stuff. And I would encourage anybody who's interested in it, pick up the plugin, let us know. Go to support@semanticmastery.com and I'll get you added to the group, and we will be launching that in probably either next week or in 3 weeks. So we'll keep you posted.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Got a couple of things I wanted to run down real quick. Also wanted to say thanks to Bradley for getting me back into some cold email outreach. I've done some years ago, and I've done it in small scale from what you did in the video lead gen training, and then getting back into it with some stuff for the agency side. So anyways, it's been fun. I've been bugging Bradley, and it's nice to have access to him. But that's another perk of the mastermind. If you're in the mastermind, you can also bug Bradley a little bit. So real quick, just wanted to say, if you're new to Semantic Mastery, you're new to MGYB, Heavy Hitters Club, all that sort of good stuff, then find out how to shield your site and not worry about algorithm updates again with the free training we have at the SEO Shield training. You can get that at theseoshield.com. Super simple, right? 3 words, theseoshield.com. Grab that, check it out. Got tons of great info in there, and also help you understand a little bit, like any industry, like any niche, whatever you're doing, there's lingo that goes with it. So it's going to help you not only understand that, but what's going on kind of behind the scenes there. Now, if you're looking to easily automate content for authority, relevance, and trust, Syndication Academy is a place you should be. You can find out more about that at syndication.academy. And if you're ready to grow your digital marketing business, then you want to join the experienced community. You get faster access to real world info, get faster access to our beautiful faces, as well as everyone else in the mastermind, which is the important part, right? Is that peer group, that network of people who are growing. I know everyone here on this call is a part of groups, not only our own mastermind, but have either used masterminds, other ones in the past, or are actively other members of other masterminds, paid and free, like I am. This is one of the fastest ways to get growth in your business and personal wise. Okay. So if you want to find out more about that, go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And if you're really wanting to dive into the nuts and bolts, the really technical SEO stuff, Heavy Hitters Club is definitely the place for you. You can find out more about that at heavyhitter.club. All right. And I mentioned it at the beginning, but for done-for-you services, stuff like the syndication networks, the SEO shields, link building, press releases, a ton more with a lot of really cool stuff coming out soon. Head over to mgyb.co. All right, mgyb.co. You can get your done-for-you services there while you're there. Hop on the email list. We not only send some really good deals from time to time, but we also send out some great information. All right, we vary it and we take great information, make it bite-sized, digestible for you, and you can go check out more. It's a great email list to be on. Highly recommend it. All right. Other than that, guys, is there anything else we need to cover before we get going?
Yeah, just something real quick, and I'll try to make it quick. And about our brand, and I'm going to call it our brand of SEO, which is worryless SEO, because we go after the brand and the entity and everything that the entity should be about, sending Google the right signals. Now, we try to target the part of the algorithm where we want to see what we get is the positive results, while staying away from triggering the red flags and the things that can get you into a whole lot of trouble, including getting you into a manual review. Because you raise enough red flags, you're going to go in that queue, and somebody will eventually come calling. How soon or when, there's no telling, because they're way behind. But just remember, if you do get in that queue, someone will eventually come calling, and if you're doing enough garbage, you're going to get de-indexed. The way that we do it, our money site isn't touched by anything that could possibly get us in trouble. Anything that they'll come in and see, that's the first place they're going to look, is on the website. What are we doing? And they're going to go look at the backlink profile, and it's going to look natural because we gain natural links over time. Everything else, anything that they look at, it's a Google property, and it comes through a Google property. And we've always seen that through a Google property, it comes out where Google, it doesn't raise any red flag. We've sent porn links through Google and have it come out where it ranks, and it still ranks to this day. And so we supposedly had an update on the 22nd, core algorithm update. I've never seen them that quick. Core algorithm update on the 22nd, I think it was, and then again in the beginning of June. And I'm looking through all my things, and I can't verify or deny the existence of an algorithm update, because when I'm looking through everything, things are just continuing to rise. But however, I do talk to a lot of people around the web, or they drop in my messenger, my Skype, just people who have either thousands of clients, literally, or thousands of websites that they run. And they give me a look into, because I mean, we're on a quid pro quo kind of basis where, okay, you're showing me all of this, I'm going to give you some tips, and I'm going to tell you. And a couple of them reached out to me and said, hey, come have a look and see if you can make heads or tails out of this. And I'll be damned if there wasn't an algorithm update. But it doesn't affect us because of the way that we're doing our worryless SEO. So I was able to verify independent, not through what I do, but through others, and how it affected them. Now, mind you, on some websites. So I had one person, we went through, okay, so this is what's happening, and this is what's going on, and this is the traffic, about a 10% drop in the ones that dropped, or an equal gain for the ones that gained. Now, mind you, anytime something drops, is because something gained. And so on those, what we went in and looked at the ones that gained, why, and we tried to determine what the commonality was. And while I was doing this, somebody else reached out to me and said, hey, would you look at this? And so in between all of the madness that I'm doing, I'm also doing some investigative work, and I'll be damned. So yeah, so I shared it with these two people in conditions that they don't share it. Of course, apply it to your own things, apply it to your own clients, don't share it. Now, the benefit is that on my next Heavy Hitter Club webinar and my next Semantic Mastery Mastermind webinar, they're going to get what it was that Google hit. And it's something very, very simple, and something that we should have been planning for but didn't. Now, inadvertently, we do things this way. And it's just interesting. And if you're not, and if you saw drops, then you should go and take a look at who it was that overtook you, and you'll be able to determine what it was that got you not in trouble, but why it was that Google preferred somebody else to whatever it is that you're doing. Really interesting. So this worryless SEO thing, I'm looking at something right now, one of the top performers, 50K clicks during a 28 period. It's on an upward trend. It's been on an upward trend for 90 days. I can go out, just take a quick look in my search console, and 1.3 million impressions over 90 days, about 120K clicks, average position for 500 keywords is top. So there's no worse position for the first 500 keywords than somewhere in the top 5. So what we do works. And there's a thing to be said about worryless SEO. 1,000, so listen to this, 1,000 keywords, and the worst position for keyword 1,000. So Google will only give you the top 1,000 performers. After that, you're on your own. But this is according to Google, not according to some other metrics that I don't give a shit about. The average position for that is 6.8. So imagine that you have 1,000 keywords or more, but Google will only show 1,000, and 6.8 is the average position for this. So, and it's hyper competitive. I'm not going to mention the niche, I'm sorry, but it's just hyper competitive, and it's what we do, and it's what you have available. And all it takes is investing in yourself and into making your clients successful
And doing the work.
You got to do the do, man. How's he going to make money if you don't do the do?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that consume information, but they don't take action on it. So,
and that's what they get.
Yeah. Sweet. What else?
That's it, guys. Let's get into it.
All right, I got one more thing just to share briefly. Last week I mentioned using checklists. I think I was kind of expanding upon a point that Adam had made, or somebody, one of you guys. Anyway, so I've been using Process Street for developing processes for my VAs, and also just internal checklists for my own, for stuff that I still do myself. I found that as my workload increases, it becomes more difficult to stay on top of, all the tasks involved in executing any particular thing, completing anything really. So I've started developing checklists for myself and, processes that I do, so that, I can just do in Process Street, you can run a checklist from a template, and then you just title the checklist after the project or whatever it is that you're doing. And then you can just go right on down the list and just literally check off boxes as you complete those items. And it makes it super, super productive, and able to keep track of things, because I can run a GMB checklist now for, multiple locations, different companies, whether it's different clients or different lead gen locations or whatever. And I can, check off boxes of the things that I've completed, but I can always leave and then return to that project, a week later, whatever. And I can pick right back up and know exactly what it was that was done and what hasn't been done yet. And so I've taken my own internal GMB checklist, and I've kind of cleaned out some of the proprietary stuff, and really sensitive stuff, and stuff that is only reserved for the paid groups, such as Heavy Hitter Club or the Mastermind, and made a more kind of vanilla version of it that is, I think, going to be useful for a lot of you guys. So I dropped the link in the comments below, in the chat box. So if you guys want, just go check it out. It says GMB checklist, and it's a Process Street template. You're able to view that template and then import it in your own account. You can run checklists off of that, which again, I would recommend you just run a checklist and title it after the project that you're working on. And then you can just go right on down the line and check. I'll demonstrate that here really quickly. Let me grab the screen and then we'll get right into questions. And I'm pretty sure Rob is going to be putting something together as well that will be behind an opt-in or something. But I wanted to share this with you guys today because I mentioned it last week. So this is it. It's 3 sections, the GMB profile. So it just talks about things that I do to kind of optimize the profile. This is pretty standard operating stuff. You know, I also try to add a video to every single GMB, and so that's what you were just seeing here. But so you can go through and scroll through that, guys, and see. I'm not going to go through each part of it, but then the tier 1 entity assets. So this is basically semantic mastery methods, and where you can get those done for you at MGYB. And these are the exact same things that I do for every single one of my GMB locations. You can see that right here. This is something else that I've added in more recently within the last few months, which is something that, you know, we do manually. At least that's not something that is available in MGYB yet. Maybe it will be at some point. And then link building, which is a critical link building in embeds, but it's a critical piece to what we do. Like just the tier 1 entity assets, the SEO shield and all of that isn't enough for most projects to rank. You have to also power them up. So that's, you know, link building is a very critical component to all of that. And so this is basically the kind of process I go through for link building to our tier 1 entity assets, which is what Marco was just talking about a moment ago. So again, guys, if you were interested in using this, feel free. I just gave it to you for free. Just click on run. And when you click run, you give it a title. Like I usually do. Like I said, I just title it after the project itself and then click run workflow. And then you will have a checklist that you can just check off, and you can always run a new checklist for your next project. So check it out. That is a freebie, but hopefully you guys will get some out of that. So moving on. All right, we're going to get right into it. The first question is, I think, from Brody. It says, is there anything we can do with our blog comments feeds for link building or syndication? I don't know. I've never done anything with blog comments feeds or blog. I always just disable comments on all my WordPress sites anyways. It's not anything that we ever use for local. So I've just always disabled all that shit. Does anybody have a comments feed?
No, because I do the same thing. I disable it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I use the disable comments plugin and just go in and just check everywhere, and it literally removes WordPress comments from the site. So sorry, I can't help you with that. But the next part of that was also, what are some other feeds we can grab aside from our money site? Oh boy, there's a ton. There's a ton. I mean, RSS feeds, I don't care if it's people think it's an antiquated like web technology, but it's still very, very powerful. You can still do a lot with it with the RSS feed. So just think about some of the things that, like, if you're using a WordPress site, there are WordPress feeds for categories, for tags. There's a ton of stuff that you can do. You can get real granular with what type of content to syndicate by using the tag feeds and category feeds. So that's one tip. Press Advantage organization page. If you buy an SEO shield, you're going to get a Press Advantage organization, or if you buy press releases from MGYB. The organization has it, so the company page, the media room, essentially for whatever brand it is that you're publishing press releases for, has a feed. That feed should absolutely be, which, by the way, that's mentioned in the GMB checklist that I just shared with you guys. Whenever I order an SEO shield, I have my own Press Advantage account, so I go in and set up my organization pages first, and then I ask, when I submit my SEO shield order, I asked in the comment section of the order, I request that 2 sets of applets are created for the syndication network, which I use 2 feeds, the main company the main website money site RSS feed, but then also a separate set of applets set up for the Press Advantage organization RSS feed. So that way, every single time I publish a press release for that project, it syndicates out across the syndication network. Makes sense, right? So that's another good one. Also, think about all the RSS feeds from your syndication network properties, guys. Think about it. You've got an RSS feed from Blogger, from Tumblr, from WordPress, from many of the other properties within the network. I mean, shoot, even GetPocket, which is like a bookmark site, has its own RSS feed. Instapaper. A lot of most of the sites have their own RSS feed, so you can do a lot of really cool things with that. In fact, if you've ever joined Syndication Academy, if you haven't, I would recommend that you do, because it's inexpensive and it's still very, very powerful. And there is advanced RSS training in there that is still valid today. I go through multiple ways to power up your syndication network properties, your money site, Press Advantage. That wasn't covered specifically, but it's the same method, can apply to all of those. using the advanced RSS strategies that I talk about in the Syndication Academy, which I don't know if SE updated that training or not, but it's still valid. All of what I had recorded years ago and can still be used to power up your assets. And it's funny, I mentioned this. I've been doing a lot more backlink analysis recently as I've started getting into doing more organic stuff on top of just maps ranking. And it's been interesting to do a lot of research using Majestic. And something I found was, some of the RSS syndication stuff that I had done using the exact same methods I just mentioned that are taught in Syndication Academy in the Advanced RSS Strategies module is an RSS2.com, or maybe it's 2RSS. I can't remember now. It's been a while, but that's like an RSS aggregator or a directory where you can submit RSS feeds. And it provides a pretty powerful backlink. And that I haven't even gone to that site in years, but I submitted stuff from years ago. I mean, like some of my projects are 5-6 years old, and they're still showing that backlink is still showing up inside of Majestic, and it's a fairly powerful backlink. So it's something that, again, I think is it RSS2.com or 2RSS.com? Anyways, it's a directory, an aggregator where you can submit RSS feeds, and that's still valid. It's still working. So again, I would encourage you to check out the advanced RSS module in the Syndication Academy if you want further training on that. Anybody want to comment on that? Apparently not. Okay, moving on.
You're the RSS master, so I have nothing on RSS.
Okay. I mean, I still use it a lot, quite a bit. One last thing is, and I don't know if we still have a link for this, but Lisa Allen's Rank Feeder is a great product. If you're going to be doing stuff with RSS feeds, you can get some pretty powerful things with her Rank Feeder, which is basically software as a service. It's a SaaS app where you can go create your own super feeds. It's kind of like a Yahoo Pipes replacement, but it has more functionality than even Yahoo Pipes, and it's also a lot simpler to set up. I don't know if any of you guys remember Yahoo Pipes, but it's a really cool thing because you can create sticky items that always, like, so you can put static URLs, like in other words, you can put individual URLs in this feed, like when you go to create a feed, so that those URLs will always appear in the feed. And it creates co-citation and all these other things. And so again, there's some really cool things that you can do with RSS if you know what you're doing. So there you go. All right, next is Lane. Lane says, hey guys, with the ID pages, what would you suggest to avoid unwanted charges for potential traffic to the S3 bucket? Well, my opinion, first of all, the S3 page typically isn't going to rank. And if you order it through us, or you build it the way that we teach you how to build it in various trainings, you should canonicalize it to your money site or whatever you want to push the power to. So, oftentimes in MGYB by default, it goes to the GMB website URL if you don't specify where you want to canonicalize it to. So most of the time it's not going to rank. It can index, but if it's canonicalized to one of your other assets, branded assets, then it will likely not rank, and or will likely not even show up in the index. So you don't usually have to worry about that. Number two is if it, again, it's not something that you're typically going to rank anyways, so you're not going to get a lot of traffic to it unless you're sending traffic to it, which I haven't even tested that, to be honest with you. So I really wouldn't worry about that. I think that's, something that you're worried about that isn't really an issue. Any comments on that?
No, I agree. Although it can rank, when they do the branded search, it will appear in your branded search as one of your strongest profiles. You shouldn't. I mean, unless you're planning on generating millions, and I mean millions of hits to that S3 bucket. And I've only seen minimal charges when you do that, because we did throw it into a loop when we were doing something, and I'm not going to mention which website it is, but you can trap the bot in an infinite loop when you do that. And then when we did that, it takes so long for it to go through that S3 sees it as visitors to the S3 bucket, and you do enough of that, and eventually it's going to count against your bandwidth. But it has to be in the millions, man. That S3 bucket can take a whole lot of traffic without any potential charges. And then if it does, what are you gonna pay? $3, $4, $5, $6? Who cares?
Yeah, it's pennies. I mean, it's not much.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got dozens and dozens of ID
Yeah.
pages across, I don't know, several S3 accounts. And I think on average every month I pay less than $50, and that's for all 3 S3 accounts combined. So yeah, it's very, very inexpensive. And I've got, you know, a whole bunch of ID pages. So I wouldn't worry about that.
No, it's not something about.
So Randy's up next. He says, for clients that are service area businesses, what can be done to improve GMB rankings across different cities or even states and counties? Already have city pages for all the target areas and a shield setup plus branded GMB and citations for the main business. Is it necessary to get citations for all city pages too? Wondering what's the most effective way. Well, remember GMBs, you know, depending on the industry, the proximity filter, where Google will only show GMBs that are within a specific proximity or a proximity range from the searcher at the time that they perform the query, the search query. It varies based on industry. Like, so in other words, and also I think what also influences the proximity range is the number of available businesses that meet that search criteria, if that makes sense. So for example, if you're in a rural area that has very few businesses that meet, you know, for example, a tree service, somebody who's searching for tree service near me, and they're in a rural area that has, you know, only a handful, half a dozen or so, and these are just numbers that I'm pulling out of my ass, but half a dozen or so tree contractors, then it's likely that tree contractors that are, you know, 30, 40 miles away can show up still in local search for that particular search query, because that searcher, the Google user, was searching in a rural area where there wasn't a lot of options. But if they're in a metropolitan area where there's probably dozens and dozens, 100+ tree service contractors, like I live in Culpeper, Virginia, which is kind of a rural area, but is like the highest per capita tree service contractors in probably the United States. No kidding. And you can't go down the street without passing 3 tree trucks. It's not a joke. So like if you're in Culpeper and you search for tree service near me, it's going to show you a bunch of contractors that are all located right in Culpeper. It's not, if you know, an adjacent city, it's not going to show contractors from an adjacent city until you get to like page 3 or 4 in the maps results. And that's because it's showing all of the maps listings close to where that search is being performed, if that makes sense. So with GMBs, you know, it varies depending on what the range is, the proximity is, and all that kind of stuff. But it's, you know, you can influence that. You can overcome that, which is precisely what we teach in local GMB Pro, and also in the mastermind and at the Heavy Hitter Club, where we get into nitty gritty stuff. And Marco calls that expanding the centroid. But it requires consistent effort. And again, depending on what the competition is like, how many other companies, you know, it varies. It can make it more difficult to expand the centroid if some of those other variables are present, right? So without having additional GMBs, that's what I was really getting at, was trying to answer your question. If you have one GMB and you're trying to expand that very, very far, it's going to take a lot of consistent effort. And it's also, like I said, there's going to be other variables such as competition, the number of companies that meet that criteria, whether it's rural or urban, or what the population is, and all that kind of stuff. So that's all going to make it, it's going to make it more difficult to expand that GMB itself for it to rank in maps. So the way that I've always overcome that was, you know, besides going the long route, which is to optimize and push the centroid, expand the proximity of the actual map listing, is to just try to secure other GMB assets. And there's, you know, it's still possible to do it, guys. You know, we don't sell that as a service, but it's still possible to do it. I know, because I've done a few of them in just the last month or two. So it is still possible, but that would be my suggestion, is how, you know, if you want to expand your existing centroid or GMB maps proximity, then get local GMB Pro. We're doing a Heavy Hitter Club, and you can find out how to do that stuff there. Otherwise, try to secure other GMB assets. That would be my recommendation. Marco, can you take a stab at that?
Yeah, I mean, the start of all this, different cities and a GMB. Think about it. A GMB in Chicago appearing, for example, in Los Angeles.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, depending on the service, if it's something hyper local, if it's a dentist and you have an emergency, why in the fuck would you want to be in LA looking for a dentist in Chicago unless you're in the damn plane going for and it's already boarded and everything is shut? Now you're going to Chicago. You want someone in Chicago. You're looking in LA, but you want that emergency dentist when you land in Chicago. Other than that, and this is just a very unlikely and hypothetical situation, not likely to happen. What you're going to look for is you're going to jump on that cell phone, more likely than not, and look for someone that's literally 5 minutes away and to take care of whatever emergency it is. The tree fell on your roof and you need that fixed right away because it's raining. Your toilet just burst and you got shit all over the bathroom. I always go to this one. Yeah. Who do you want to come out? The guy that's an hour and a half away while your house gets shittier and shittier, or you want the guy that's 10 minutes away that's going to come right out and clean it up a couple hours and it's done? You don't want to wait a couple hours for the guy to come out. So think about this when you're looking to do this from one city into others. How are you going to service those people? Well, if you plan to have trucks in that area or whoever it is in that area, crews, then it's better for you to get one of those people in that other city, to get a GMB in that other city, so you can start targeting that city from as close to city center as possible, unless the majority of the population is not close to city center. Then you have to start looking where the majority of your targeted population is and try to get that GMB as close to the center of that as possible, because when Google starts going out, it's going to your business centroid and the centroid, whatever it calls, the geographical center of that city, and creating those relationships and seeing where the people are and where the people are likelier to look and to click on. Google is taking all of this into account when it's displaying the people in the map pack for this service, whatever it is. You have to give Google a reason to put you in the 3-pack, number one, and you have to give people a reason to click on your result. Also, because even if you're in the map pack, if nobody's clicking, then it doesn't matter. You're dead anyway. It's a dead business. Now, the other part of that, citations and all of that. But yeah, if you're going to different cities and it's a different GMB, then yes, by all means. But what you have to do is relate all of these businesses to the main business. We've talked about it. You do this through schema. We constantly do this. You relate all of these businesses one to the other. The parent organization has children, the children have a parent, and then you create these excuse me, schema relationships. But I mean, yeah, you need citation. If you have a GMB, you're going to have the citation because you're going to have a different location. But it's all part, it's just like we do with Press Advantage. If you're in a different city, it's a different media page. You don't put everything on the same organization page in Press Advantage. We don't do that. You go with separate Press Advantage media centers or media pages. That's how you would do it. But yeah, you're thinking that with one GMB you'd be able to target, for example, maybe Chicago and then Milwaukee, which is relatively close by. And no, think of all the resistance that you're going to have to overcome for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, for each city page, no, if you only have one GMB and you're trying to create all these city pages, you can do organic rankings, but you don't create citations are only for the GMB. Correct. Right? Does that make sense? Structured citations are only for the GMB. So you would, if you have other GMB locations for the same brand, then yes, you would create citations or have citations created for those other locations. But here's the thing though, you know, I don't recommend, and I've said this for years, if you are using spammed GMB listings, so without, you know, valid locations that can be verified and re-verified if needed, you don't want to do citations then, because you can still rank GMBs without citations. Let me be very clear. If I have a client that has a valid business location, I absolutely build citations. No question about it. It's even in my GMB checklist that I just shared with you guys today. But if it's a lead gen asset or a spammed GMB listing, in other words, it's a non-valid or non-Google approved type of location for that GMB that GMB is associated with, then I do not build structured citations. I build unstructured citations, which means name, address, phone number, mentions across blogs and press releases and things like that. But as soon as you start submitting and building structured citations on business directories, you're going to start getting calls, number one, solicitation calls from those directories trying to upsell you on advertising. And as well as you start getting direct mail at those locations that is addressed to that business. So if you don't have a valid location, then don't do it, because otherwise you'll start, it could potentially raise a flag to whoever's getting that mail if they're getting it. So I wouldn't recommend that. So again, get additional GMB assets for additional locations that you want to push into. That's still, in my opinion, the best way to do it. Good question, though.
Yep.
Next is from Eddie B. He says, happy POFU day, gents. Quick question. To further power up a drive stack, can you just ctrl+p and print PDF files of your current web pages and then edit them with link spam at the bottom like you all do? That's pretty ingenious. I never even thought of that. That's a pretty good idea, though. What do you think, Marco?
Why not? I mean, producing a PDF. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that you can do with a PDF, right? So many different things.
Yeah, and then likewise, similarly, or can I just copy and paste my content into a Google Doc file and then link spam at the bottom like you all do?
I'm sorry, but that's not link spam.
Yeah.
We interlink everything and give Google a great interlinking experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can just make that, make the Google Doc a PDF, make anything, you can make anything a PDF, anything on the web, a PDF. So why wouldn't you? And then make it, I don't know, downloadable or uploaded in PDF. Is that a thing still? We don't do that, but PDF directories?
Yeah.
Why not?
One that's really strong is Issue. What is it? ISSUE, I think it is.
I was just
this one right here is pretty damn strong. You can upload PDFs there. Like I haven't started doing it with the press release PDFs yet, but I was testing it, and it was literally just uploaded like Word docs with links in it, and it creates like a flash, almost like page reader. When you press the next page button, it like flips like a flip book and all this. But Issue is a pretty Issue ISSUU.com is pretty strong, and that's somewhere that you can upload PDFs to with links in them, and then you can just hammer the shit out of the page, the issue page. So that's something you can test with. I'm actually started testing with that as just an additional tier 1 entity asset, or just like another link point that is again, for some of the stuff I'm doing for organic rankings, I'm testing with that. So
yeah, I was looking at that yesterday at the backlink. Yesterday, because we were taking a look during the heavy hitter webinar, and this website came up, and I went and looked at it. I said, why is this coming up in the profile? And I had it on my list, so I went and took a quick look, and there's like 500 million external backlinks.
Yeah, it's strong.
With 500,000 referring domains, or 600,000 referring domains. Now it'll vary, because it'll get new links. Some of them will drop off. But I mean, just imagine with all of these links coming in, why wouldn't you want to be in this website? And I need to tell Essie to take a look at this site, or I don't know if it's on our list, to take a look at this website and use it.
So the trust flow to the root domain is 79 and 57 to the URL. Obviously, pages are going to be a lot less, but you can push a shit. I mean, again, I know we don't usually talk about metrics, but I've been studying using Majestic a lot lately on stuff, and trust flow is a pretty good indicator of link power, so to speak. And you can the issue page that for whatever you upload something to, you can push a lot of trust flow to it very quickly. It'll accrue quickly is what I'm saying. So there's something it's a pretty cool site. I'm pretty sure that's on the list that I gave to Essie for properties to update in Syndication Academy. I'm pretty sure that's on there. And if not, it should be added.
Okay.
So that's a great question though. Let's see. The next thing was it best to have unique content on the drive stack versus exact duplicate content inside a drive stack silo? So they'll work with just copying content from your existing site, sites, pages, whatever, and using that. Also just copying other people's content and putting it in there will work for G sites and for drive stacks and stuff. There's no question. More recently, I have been, once I get the SEO Shield back and the G site back from MGYB, is I've started tuning the content, optimizing the content to make it more unique, as well as just SEO optimized the actual on page itself of the G site. And I found that is definitely improving the results. Again, you can get results with just using exact copies of your own content or even other people's content. We don't recommend that, but it can be done. But if you go in and make the content unique on those pages and then tune it, and treat it as if it was a money site landing page, you can see some pretty incredible results. In fact, the G site, which we've known the G site will rank anyways, but if you go in and add some unique content and then tune that content using like Surfer SEO or Page Optimizer Pro or whatever tool you want to use to optimize that content, the G sites will tend to rank fairly damn quickly, which is great because if you know what our G sites look like from MGYB, I mean, they're beautiful, man. And if you iframe your money site page, your corresponding, right, theme mirroring, your corresponding money site page at the very top of the G site page, then it's just a doorway. It's like it's a window to your money site anyways. And so if you rank that G site, which is a lot, it's relatively easy to do when you tune the content. And then your money site page will rank, as an embed. Right. And so you can end up taking up multiple spots on page one for your desired keyword terms if you do it that way. So I just hired my longtime blogger who's always been on piecework. I always paid her per post for 8 years now that she's been working for me, but I just hired her full time on salary starting June 1st. And that's one of the things that she's going to be doing is going through all the G sites and actually tuning all the content and adding original content to those pages because of the results that I've been seeing. You want to comment on that one, Marco?
Yeah, if the content's tuned, it doesn't, the bot will react to it. And it doesn't matter if it's duplicate content. I hate that word because it gets like a negative connotation. The only time it matters is if you use somebody else's content to outrank them and they figure it out and they give you a takedown. That's it. If you use somebody else's images and they come and slap you down and sue you for using their images, then you have a problem. Otherwise, you can take the content. So you can tune the content that's on your website, take that content since you're mirroring and put it on the G site. Now, whether you iframe it or just copy and paste it, doesn't matter. You're not going to complain about your own content. You can take that same content and put it on Blogger, put it on WordPress, put it wherever you want because it's your content and you can do with your content whatever you want. I have outranked Wikipedia for Wikipedia terms just as a test. And then, of course, you get the takedown because it's their content. There's only the original piece, and then there are copies of the original. And that's where canonicals come in. So you can canonicalize to give Google direction on which one the original piece of content is. That's what a canonical is for. In your case, it's all your content. And let's say for a keyword, you're having your trouble with your money site ranking for it. Well, what difference does it make if your then G site ranks for that content? Right. With the same content that you're trying to rank? It's yours. It's only a problem if you're fighting against yourself. If you have two pieces of content on the same page, it's almost exactly the same, and then Google is displaying that to different people, not at the same time. You're not taking up more real estate, but Google is displaying these now, whether it's doing it with 5 pages, 6 pages, however many similar pages Google is finding, and it's not canonicalized properly, then you're in trouble, because that's what they call keyword cannibalization, where Google is trying to figure out, okay, where does this fit? Well, let me show this user this page, and you'll see that over time, one page wins. Well, you should be going in there to Search Console. Search Console will tell you which ones they are, and canonicalizing so that all the credit goes to that one page that Google says is the one that should be getting all the credit. It's the only time it matters. Otherwise, who cares? If the user goes in there, wherever he goes, Blogger, WordPress, G Site, Google Doc, wherever it is, and that piece converts, or it sends him to the content where that user converts, it's gold. It's gold. And if it's tuned for the bot's gonna like it. If you have schema on there directing the bot what the content's about, it's fine. I hate this kind of question, because people are misled about duplicate content, about what it is, what it does, that it could harm them. Only harm that can come is if you use a Getty image and they come extorting you. That's it.
Agreed. Okay, so we're going to move on. Next is Gordon. What's up, Gordon? He says, hey guys, I asked a question last week and you were kind enough to provide a great answer, but I was not tech savvy enough to understand how to do what you suggested. Yeah, I've got a demo G site pulled up that I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, but let me finish reading the question. So if you don't mind, could you please expand on the explanation? You mentioned that even though you cannot access the HTML code on a Google site, you can still insert code and easily add an iframe or JavaScript code to the G site. But how do you do that in simple tech dummy terms without accessing the HTML code? Okay, this is what I was showing you. So in the new G sites, so I just created a demo. So you just click into the section that you want to add a section, you know, like an embed. So I'm clicking into this kind of whole section here. There's like a faint blue line. You can't see it, but I'm going to, over here on the right-hand sidebar, I'm going to click embed. And now I can either embed by a URL, by just pasting a URL in, or I can actually add an embed code like a G site, or excuse me, a Google map, Google My Business map, the embed code for that, right? But if I want to do it by URL, let's just see if the Hump Day Hangouts page will embed. I'm going to copy that and just paste the URL in, and it'll give you two versions of it. A whole page, well, and sometimes it'll show you a preview. Like, you know, it'll say you can either embed the preview or the whole page. And so I usually, it depends on what it is, but most of the time I just embed the whole page and I just click insert. And there we go. Now, once I go, if I were to publish this, which I'm not going to because it's just a demo site, but if I was to publish this and then go view published site, you're going to see them, you know, this would be scrollable and everything else. And I can, by the way, you can extend that. You can change the container width and height. You can, you know, make it smaller, and you can actually do 2 embeds that are, you know, side by side, or 3 embeds if you wanted. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. So I said this is a super easy builder, page builder to use inside of G sites. It's super easy. It doesn't give you a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of stuff that you can do as far as like behind the scenes, like in the code, because it won't allow you in it. But for drag and drop, and like you can really make, I mean, again, look at our Google sites that we give you guys in the Drive Stacks when you order SEO Shields and Drive Stacks. They're, I mean, they come out looking awesome. And I, you know, and like I said, I go in now and I add some additional elements and stuff, but they come out looking awesome. So it's super easy. Once again, click into whatever section it is. Typically, if you're going to add, when you click embed, it's going to add to the next section below it. And then you can always drag and drop the container into the areas that you want. But then you just paste in the URL if it's a URL that you want to embed. By the way, if it gives you like that little like broken page symbol, it means there's an iframe breaker on that site, so it won't allow you to iframe it. Or you can embed using the embed code too. Okay, but it's super simple to do, guys.
You can also go down the menu on the right, and you can drop a YouTube video in there. You can drop a calendar map. You just all of that.
Yeah, all those. That's right.
So guys, from now on, it's just a matter of going in there, starting a demo or test site, and checking. So when we tell you go, just go, try it. You'll like it.
Just play with it.
It's what we did. That's how RYS Academy was born, the original.
Let's see. Is there a possibility that Google could red flag the site for doing that? No, because they wouldn't give us the ability to embed stuff if it was a possibility to red flag it. So, okay, nice, a good question though, and I'm glad that we could demo that for you. The next question is, if one has a Google News site for press releases, what are some ways to monetize it other than guest postings or using it for press releases? Well, you could put AdSense on it if it gets traffic. Right? You could sell advertising. It doesn't have to be AdSense. You could use other publisher networks or whatever you call it for ad revenue. You could also put affiliate products on there. Like if it's a themed Google News site, you could put, or even if it's not themed in one particular industry, but it has categories on the Google News site, right? You could add different affiliate offers and things like that on different categories pages, for example. I mean, there's just a number of ways you could, if it's getting traffic, then there's a number of ways you could monetize it. You could build a list, for example. You could have an opt-in for something that would be relevant to people that would visit that site, and then you could start building an email list that then you could market, affiliate products to and other stuff. So, I mean, there's just a ton of stuff you can do with the site if it's getting traffic. That's the problem. There's a million ways to monetize a site, but you need traffic and relevant traffic for whatever you're offering or promoting in order to monetize, to make money from it. But if you've got a Google News site that is getting any traffic, then there's just a number of things you could do to monetize it. Any other?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Google has tightened down on AdSense so much that you can't get approved for AdSense unless you have traffic to the website. Yeah. Like Google doesn't want you putting AdSense on there and then figuring out how you're going to get traffic to that website. And if you have one, then why not? And it was relatively simple for you to do this. Why not then go a couple of hundred of these and build your own like press release network, and then publish your own content into your own press release? I imagine the power in that, where you're not dividing all of that link equity between all of these websites pushing into the network. You have what's properly then called a private blog network of your own press release sites that publish to Google News. And imagine all of the power that's in those websites once you start using them properly. Now, the moment that you allow other people into your private blog network is no longer private, and Google can and will come calling to see what the hell it is that you're doing, especially if you start selling links. So be careful.
Yeah. Do websites that syndicate press release blogs get much traffic and will cause duplicate content penalty? No, it won't cause a duplicate content penalty. But do they get much traffic? It depends. I mean, some do, some don't. Again, we use, in MGYB, our distribution is across Press Advantage. And, for example, there's one for local stuff. I found that the WBOC.com, which is just the news outlet or whatever, that's one of the pickups, the press release pickups. That one ranks really well. It ranks really well. And so for whatever reason, that WBOC.com press release, I'm sure it's getting a lot of traffic because it ranks well. And I've been manipulating that a bit by sending traffic intentionally to the press release and then having it click through to my target URLs. So CT spam, click-through spam, and that works really well. To get the press release to stick, if you do search and click traffic, another thing is just it's referral traffic in analytics, which is great. Referral traffic coming from a press release, because you can hammer traffic to a press release, and then it looks like the press release, got picked up by a major, and read by a bunch of people. And so the traffic signals are really good signals. That's something that I've been doing a lot of testing with lately, and it works quite well. So yeah, I mean, just depends on the actual site. Some sites get a lot of traffic, some don't. But press releases are still one of my methods. I've been using press releases for years, and I couldn't imagine doing SEO without them, to be honest with you. All right, last question, and it's perfect timing too, because we're about out of time. Waheed, what's up, man? He says, hey, I have a list of emails. I need to see who has GMBs and who doesn't. Can you help in this regard? I don't know about from emails. I've not attempted it that way. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'm not sure how to do it. I can't give you an example, like or a recommendation on how to do it. I know more recently I've been using a really cool tool that does all kinds of awesome data scraping stuff, and you can create your own recipes. And it's called, and I think they still have a deal on AppSumo, but it's called Texau, texau.app. And if you go to texau.com, it'll redirect you to this. But in fact, you can check out pricing. I think they still have, yeah, it looks like if you go to, you have to check AppSumo and see if they still have a deal there. But one of those, Capterra, AppSumo, somebody probably still has some deals for them. But if not, I don't know if they still have lifetime deals that can do all kinds of stuff. You can create, like, it'll scrape all different kinds of platforms, and you can, what they call ingredients, you can, or spices, they call them. You can connect different spices to make your own recipes. And so there might be something that you could do with this if you provided a list of emails that would be able to go check to see if there's GMBs associated with those. I don't know how to do that because I have not done it that way. But I do use the Google Maps scraping recipe in here and it basically will scrape Google Maps and, you know, output all the data that I tell it to output into a CSV file, or a Google Sheet actually, and it'll tell you one of the variables or data points that you can opt or select to have output is whether a GMB is verified or not. So anyway, I would check this out. There might be other services out there that do that specifically if you provide an email service. I just don't know of any, or an email list. I mean, excuse me. Any comments?
Yeah, I don't know of any way to get that information, like from your email list, other than, so if your list is Tom Jones and that kind of thing at gmail.com, at Yahoo or whatever, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
But if you have the brand, like Tom Jones at semanticmastery.com or tjones at semanticmastery.com, a quick way is you go type in semanticmastery.com, go to maps, see if it has a map.
Yeah,
that's a quick way that you can knock that out. You could probably write a quick script to get that information from you from Google. But other than that, like I don't know of a tool, or if someone has one, then please drop it in here. I don't care, because we don't have it, we don't offer it. So if you have it, help him out.
We're past the 5 o'clock hour, guys.